All right. No rights paid on the music in the background. If they didn't want it to be on our podcast, they wouldn't be playing it. Take two.
Definitely need another try on that.
We were talking on the way over here about what puts us in a good mood.
Besides ping pong. Ping pong always
And
puts
really
you in a
good
mood.
rights-free music in the background. Just for Karen.
Ah. Oh.
You got a good meal, puts you in a good mood, right?
Yes.
And a hug from your kids. Puts you in a good mood, right?
Donut paddle? Not in a good mood.
Donut pal, not in a good mood.
Definitely not.
So you could guess that our ping pong skills might be getting better, except that I'm not sure we learned any real lessons from this. Except how to talk and play ping pong at the same time.
Well, multitasking. Talking and playing ping pong. Oh.
How to play pretend ping pong, because we don't want to chase the ball.
We're all about the volleys.
I don't know this song. Do you know this song?
I don't know this one.
Sounds pretty good though. Good ping pong music. And it's rights free. On YouTube, they will, as I explained to Karen yesterday, they will basically just use the rights of the song rights holder to run advertising over your video, and that's how they compensate for rights music with somebody else owning the rights on YouTube. But on Facebook, they tend to delete it if somebody complains. Obviously, nobody cares about the Ping Pong podcast. There's also an interesting question about, interesting is a matter of perspective, I guess,
Very much.
but there's an interesting question as to, can you own a public space because your song was played there? Can you own all rights to a public space and all rights to all sound in a public space because your song is one of the things that was played in that public space? So, in terms of the amount of pirating that goes on in the world, the amount of crime and such, I think this is much more in the gray to not that big of a deal area as opposed to outright pirating or outright selling pirated music. So anyway.
We're certainly not selling the ping pong podcast, so don't worry about that.
But if anybody wants to sponsor us, then we would, and we could send all the money to Ask Cap.
There you go.
Which would be awesome.
Well, I'm sending it all to Sears.
I'm sending it all to Karen.
Oh, okay.
I think we're doing a good job for Sears. Yesterday we were, if you saw on the podcast, there was a couple here who was actually looking for a ping pong table. And while we were here playing, they seemed to be kind of interested in, more comfortable. This was a good place to buy ping pong tables. The only problem was the sales guy was nowhere to be found.
They were ready to buy, and there wasn't anybody here to sell it to them.
So they wanted us to sell it to them. And we answered some questions, and then when we went upstairs, we told them to please page Gara. Gara was the guy who was on yesterday. To please page him so that he could make a sale in ping pong. Of course, we didn't bring up our whole calculation about it's free to play here, and you need a lot of room to play ping pong at home.
I assume if they were shopping for ping pong tables, they already knew how much room you need for a ping pong table.
Maybe they just really liked ping pong and hadn't thought about the measurements. We've got a room we could put it in. You just wouldn't have this much room to expand and run around and run into stuff. The kids tend to run around a little more than we do, but we do sometimes. The last thing you want to do is run into a window or a wall or a beam or a desk or something.
We tend to try to avoid running into what little furniture is nearby, but certainly. You've come close to that pole a couple times. I've come close to the metal rack over here displaying playground equipment. We also had customers with small children who the parents were having difficulty so we delayed starting our podcast because we didn't want to encourage.
Uh-oh. Any comments?
Dan Spitzer says, Cones go out every night, enjoy your ping. And Jody Wade Davidson says is watching.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Enjoy your ping. We don't need the Pong portion. We're too cool for that. It's just ping.
Just ping.
I do like that they have a ping pong emoji. I think I used it yesterday in the description. But it's not just about the ping pong, right, people? It's about the community. It's about the babble. Babble?
The witty banter, yes.
The witty banter is a much better word than babble. Although babble may be more correct.
That is
than
true.
Witty banter.
We make no statements regarding the quality of our conversation during our ping pong podcasts.
But the truth is, we would be doing it whether you were watching or not, so you might not be talking. We'd still be talking, but you're talking about different stuff.
We would be talking to each other rather than talking to the unknown people who are watching.
Like Jody.
Like Jody. Susan Silvercone.
Susan Silvercone watching.
It says Susan Silvercone is watching.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Susan.
We were talking to my mom yesterday from Australia via Facebook Messenger, so you can, sort of see people and talk to them. It's pretty miraculous. She said it's winter down there, so it's not quite as fun being on the beach when it's getting a little colder. But we wish them all the best. So we put some food in the crock pot, or the Instapot, before we left for our walking and ping ponging. Basically brown rice with some enoki mushrooms, onions, some frozen squash. I think it's delicata squash that they sell at Trader Joe's in a bag in the frozen department. And some ginger and some garlic. And so it'll be ready when we get home. Jacob's going to Zumba, and so he won't be done till about 8, be home about 8:30. We usually get home sometime around that same time. We find ourselves eating out a lot with the kids home because they want to go to all their favorites before they go back to school, as it were, but still you gotta eat at home at some point. Especially with the Dodgers on the road, it makes it a little easier.
We definitely had a lot of games over the last week and a half. I lucked out on that one. I think I would have been able to return it if it hadn't hit the net. Your mom says hi.
Hi, Mom. I don't know this song either.
I definitely don't know this song.
I'm also not paying rights for it. Oh.
Not very good at naming titles.
You'd think you'd get to know popular music if you just listen to it all the time, even like this on the Sears Music channel.
Stuff we play at the sporting events during warm-up and
It's like, hey, I know that song. I don't know who it's by, but I know that song. Who plays that? And you look at a lineup for a festival somewhere, music festival, and you're like, I don't know any of these bands. And you look them up, and then you're like, oh, I know that song. I just didn't know who played that song.
I think that happened to Jacob when they started playing Hotel California in the locker room in high school and football. They didn't know who the Eagles were.
And now it's Cody Bellinger's walk-up song at LA Dodgers of Los Angeles Stadium. For those of you who don't know, the Angels are the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So if you're making fun of them, you can say something to the effect of Los Angeles Dodgers of Los Angeles. And actually it's funny because the places we're looking for Jacob are within walking distance of Anaheim Stadium and the pond where the Ducks play. So we're going to have a discussion about what's appropriate to wear and where it's appropriate to go when going to sporting events in Orange County that he will almost assuredly end up at. It's just too
invited
close.
to some or
It's just too close.
something.
and he is probably looking for a job in that field anyway. So we're talking to J.P. Riccardi, who works for the Giants. When the Giants were in town last week, he was sitting next to us. He used to be the general manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, and before that, he was with Billy Beane at the Oakland Athletics during the Moneyball era. Not that it's still not Moneyball in Oakland, but during the time when the book was written. And so he was kind of these wonder kids that everybody wanted to pay a lot of money for and have be there, come fix our team, because obviously Oakland's famous for having this magic formula. And he said something to me to the effect of, I said, everybody here thinks they could be the GM of a team. And he said, they are welcome to it. So I guess that means it's not quite as fun as it seems. But he certainly had the career of, he's also been a commentator on ESPN, and currently he's a special assistant to the president of the Giants, and he travels around and watches baseball, basically. And it's just interesting to meet somebody who was that into, that high up in baseball, doing something that Jacob kind of aspires to be part of. Although it doesn't necessarily have to be baseball. He, likes hockey and football and basketball too. I think he talked about the project he was doing for the Islanders when he was at Ohio State on one of the podcasts. He was helping them with some of their statistics towards the end of his time at Ohio State, because the director of women's hockey at Ohio State is also a consultant to the Islanders. He was also the head of video at the NHL for 20 years. So anybody wants to know that story, they can ask Jacob.
You can join him at Zumba.
Yeah, he's going to Zumba at Boogie Zone Utopia. They have Zumba at 7 o'clock on Mondays and Thursdays. I think it's like $10 a class or something. And he enjoyed doing Zumba quite a bit in Ohio. And so now he's trying to find good places to do it here, although he's going to be moving from our area of LA to Orange County pretty soon. He's, gives him something fun to do. Spent most of today working on finding an apartment. It's a pretty tight market at Chapman because it's surrounded by the 22 and the 5, and I think the 57 or 55 or something anyway. And then there's like 3 or 4 high schools and 3 or 4 middle schools and 3 or 4 elementary schools and 3 or 4 or 5 churches, all in the same area. That's all single-family homes. So finding apartments is a challenge.
Yeah, not exactly giant towers next to the buildings like there have been at other campuses we've seen.
But they give him such a good scholarship to come to the master's degree there that it's like it doesn't really matter. It's just you're trying to get him comfortable. And he does have the option of sharing a 2-bedroom with somebody. He's just waiting to meet the potential roommate. And there's some other options. There's a studio that's about a mile away, and a 1-bedroom there too. And there's some other stuff. He's also got a 1-bedroom he's working on that's just a block or 2 away. That he was bothering vociferously today. And we will see whether that's a positive or negative. But it's a good skill to learn, finding a place. He did find his place in Ohio, but it's basically surrounded by apartment buildings. So basically, you just walk into anyone you want and find whichever unit you want. And so I also made a salad for dinner. What I usually do is I take dried onions and I add some dried dill. And then I put in some cabbage that's pre-sliced that I get at, this I happen to get at Smart & Final, but usually I get at Sam's Club, which I know Jody doesn't like because she doesn't like Walmart. Sam's Club is one of their divisions. And then what I do is I slice up a grapefruit to start adding some, basically pickling.
Weiss is watching, Deborah Pollister is watching, and Dan Spitzer is watching.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Dan. And so then it kind of adds some juice to it. I added some apples. I added some plums. Added some cucumbers. And then when we get home, I will add tomatoes and some romaine blend salad that's prepackaged in a bag, basically, that I get at Sam's Club. make a big salad. Usually we make a pretty big salad. I mean, maybe this much for each person. Pretty big salad to start off with. Dr. Joel Furman kind of recommends eating lots of uncooked vegetables, but then Dr. This is what he did the China study.
T. Colin Campbell.
T. Colin Campbell just came out and said Furman is a fraud and all his research has been plagiarized and done incorrectly and wrong. So there's a fun war going on there between two doctors that are both trying to espouse healthy diets. So take it as you will. I had read his book Eat to Live, in which he basically says that the more nutrition you can get without high processed, high fat, the more of that you get, the better, and to miraculous proportions. And so we don't really eat like that. We eat more like Dr. McDougall does, which says basically a starch-based diet with lots of fruits and vegetables.
Lots of color.
Lots of color to add nutrients. But take a little bit of what you can learn from everybody, and if it's good, nothing wrong with eating a nice big salad.
Registered members, come by Tools Department, check out our great selection of tool storage.
Tools.
More. $300, you will receive $300 back in more. Also, if you spend $50, you will receive $15 back in points as well. Lastly, if you apply for a brand new Sears MasterCard and you purchase $30 or more, you will receive $15 off your first purchase upon approval. So, to make you become a Sears Torrance, more members always save more.
See, we're broadcasting Sears commercials along with the music. It's paying for the music as the commercials.
That's right.
From Sears.
And Sears. They pay for the hall.
But one of the interesting things about
Oh, we got customers.
Chapman is that it is pretty close to Cal State Fullerton, and about 7 miles. And there's a bunch of big complexes over there, so we're thinking about going and looking at some of those. But at least if he's not living near Chapman students, he'd be living near some students. But kind of hoping to live near Chapman as much as possible. It's really tough. The 3 places he was really targeting today, 2 of them were already gone. And the 3rd one wouldn't answer his questions. So that's kind of been how it's gone. The big complex is a mile away out of space. It's just the stuff that's been walking distance is a challenge because everybody's trying to get it. I think they've got 10,000 students and maybe 1,500, 2,000 beds. I think they try to have beds for the freshmen. And they say they've got a little bit for grad students and law students, but
We haven't seen any evidence that is true.
right, he didn't apply for the dorm space originally because he's used to kind of living on his own and figured if I could live across the street, why live, some of their dorms are like 1.5 miles, 2 miles away. It's just a shuttle bus you take. But he did call today to ask, hey, are there any left? Because you might as well know what the market is. Harut is watching. Hi, Harut. Hi, Paul. Paul Cyber's watching. I watched Harut practicing with his bird. Harut's a piano player. And a concert piano player and also was Sabrina's piano teacher in high school. And maybe again someday also did all the accompaniment for all her auditions that were in town and helped her, did all the accompaniment for all her video auditions for college. So it went very well by any measure.
Yeah, definitely. Sent him across Chase. We've actually got some customers here checking out the workout equipment on the far side of the room. But other than that, we are alone.
I'm back.
Hey!
So today we walked downstairs through Nordstrom's and Macy's on the new side before we came over here, and then we walked through the Bridge, Macy's, and we walked through Dick's, and we walked through Joann's and JCPenney. changing the game we have, which is basically, can you hit it to the middle of the line? Hitting the line would be the goal, so that you don't then have to chase it. But it might get a little boring. If you're not, trying to throw the other person off every once in a while for entertainment value. It's not like I'm hitting it over there trying to get Mary to run. It's just.
It is less than exciting to stand in one place and have your feet never move.
This kind of sounds like an 80s song. I think we were looking at some of the concerts in Europe this summer, and one of them wasn't Depeche Mode or Tears for Fears, but it was somebody like that. Just, total 80s. And they were like headlining some of the festivals. It looked like the Rolling Stones just started their new tour in Chicago.
Back on stage.
Mick had a heart valve replacement about 6 months ago when they were supposed to be here originally. And so now they're just restarting the tour now. And I saw a clip of the opening song. It looked like he was right back into it. Maybe even a little more animated than he was when we saw him in Prague last summer. So
4th of July last year.
So the groups on tour in Europe aren't as big this year. Pink is on tour. Sting. Basically anybody with one name. We're supposed to see Madonna when she's here. She's going to be playing at the Wiltern in November. So that should be kind of interesting when we manage to get some tickets in the lottery for that. And we're seeing the Rolling Stones at the Rose Bowl on the 27th of August. I'm sure there's still tickets available if anybody wants to go to that.
Got the art corner again. Well, definitely we had some issues with Stones because we didn't originally get tickets for the kids because it was going to be in May when they weren't home. And now it's in August when they're both home.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Sabrina applied for a job as a desk assistant at Denver and is waiting to hear, and if she does, she thinks she has to be there on the 22nd. So who knows?
But, had to win the opportunity and then announce the dates of the reschedule. They had to assume she was going to be home.
Right, and it's also kind of works because the Dodgers are playing the Blue Jays for 2 or 3 nights that week, and then they're playing the Yankees at home, which is kind of a big event, but it doesn't start until the next. I think the Stones play Thursday and the Yankees start Friday, right?
Yankees series is definitely Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I think the Stones is Thursday. At the Rose Bowl. At the Rose Bowl. At the Rose Bowl. Where's it at?
Rose Bowl.
At the Rose Bowl. We went to the Rose Bowl. I couldn't remember the name of the Rose Bowl at the Rose Bowl this year because Ohio State was playing Northwestern, right?
Okay.
And we went in, I think from the south instead of coming down the hill. And it worked really well. We went out the same way. So anybody who's looking for, we also went pretty early, but and left a little bit before the game was over. Or did we leave right as the game ended? We didn't wait for the trophy presentation. But that seemed to be a good way to come in through the city streets through the south end.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
Last volley?
Sure, last volley.
All right, last volley, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying Ping Pong Podcast number 12. So we're coming close to the end. Yesterday we didn't quite get our face to see the cameras down at the bottom.
Yeah.
If we're gonna say goodbye, we gotta come down low here. Bye everybody. Thanks for watching. Beth says, hi cones. Hola cones. Hi Beth.